And I was talking to people in the competitive element Discord about this speed blessing. It is clarified lower on in the comments that Dan says that you can have a maximum of 3 blessings in each category. So if you want to think about the run speed, +3 is already at the rare rarity. If you get 1 speed blessing, it's +1 over legendary boots. And then you have a maximum of 3 stacks of that. So you can have just at base +12 run speed, which is more than double the boost that you get from legendary boots. And then if you're running dexterity on top of that, dude, you are zooming. Hey everyone, it's OSK. Today we got some news about the upcoming Chapter 2 game mode called Dominion. This is the Reddit post that Jesse shared, and then the official Spellbreak Twitter shared later on. So we're going to be going through these notes. We're going to be breaking down what exactly we have in front of us here. And I just kind of want to give my 2 cents as to where the current meta with Spellbreak is, especially for Chapter 2, and how that will relate towards this new game mode. Primarily, we'll be introducing the new game mode, and then I'll be talking some more points around that. So without further ado, here is our brand new game mode for Chapter 2, Dominion. So I'll go ahead and read through the post here. After weeks of teases and months hearing about Spellbreak's new game mode, we'd like to introduce you to Dominion, the new 5v5 objective-based mode debuting with Chapter 2 in this post. We're going to describe the game mode entirely, hopefully answer your questions. Before we dive into the gritty, start off by detailing the goals. We want small-scale team versus team combat. They want objective-based win conditions. They want to incorporate some light PvE, some team synergy and strategy, variations from match to match, and they want to keep the stuff that works, which is the match duration and the progression in level and the gear. So all this together, you can read these more in depth if you really want to, but basically we're looking at a small scale mode, looking at an objective, we're looking at some PvE in there, we're looking at some team synergy and strategy, which has always been a big part of Spellbreak, especially once you get into duos and squads. They want some variations from match to match, which means basically introducing some RNG elements to make sure that no 2 matches feel exactly the same. And then they would just want to make sure the combat's good. They want to make sure that the amount of time that you're playing for a match feels good, that it's not dragging, it's not too short, that sort of thing. And that's what they're going into. So for the match goals, we saw a little bit of this if you watched my video. This the goal of Dominion here is to be the first team to reach a point threshold by capturing and controlling 3 different zones on the map, as well as exiling players on the opposite team. If the score hasn't been reached after 15 minutes, the team with the highest score wins. Pretty obvious. Go to the point threshold and you win, or have the highest score at the end of the time limit. As of the writing, this point threshold is 75 points plus 15 times the number of players on a team. So that means that if you were to have a 3v3 match, then 3 times 15 is 45 plus 75. You're looking at, if I do some quick math, that's about 120 maximum points. And they go on to provide an example. If there were 5 players on a team, the total would be 150. If there were 4, it would be 135, and so on. And the way that this is worded, it makes me seem that it makes me think that maybe they'll be adjusting thresholds for a win for each team, because the way this is done, it says 15 times the number of players on a team. So maybe if you're fighting with a team of 5, then you would have that 150. But if the opposite team has a team of 4, then maybe that threshold will be cut down to 135. It's a little bit unclear as to how exactly that's divided up. But I imagine that unless like there's some lever shenanigans, I think teams are going to be about equal. And I think that this mode's going to be popular enough to where we won't even have to really deal with that. But moving on, every match of Dominion features 2 teams of 5 players maximum. So 5v5 is going to be the absolute maximum. You can get lower numbers than this, but I highly doubt that's what's going to happen unless you like, I don't know if there's going to be some setting to not fill in the rest of a team or something, but that could be the case. We'll see. For starting out, players are going to select their class and talents like they normally do. But before spawning in, they're introduced to that merchant, which is what the screenshot was at first. And then they'll present the player with the first 2 boon choices, and each boon choice will give the player 3 options, which they must choose one. The first boon will be an offhand gauntlet, and the second will be a rune, and they're going to talk more about that below. But start you out, going to start you with 0 armor, but with 70 max mana and +3 run speed, which is about equal to, they say, a rare amulet, but it's an uncommon, that's +20. And then rare boots are the blue boots. So it's pretty decent base speed and pretty decent max mana to start out with. And once you start, you're going to find yourself on one of 4 different maps. At launch, it's going to be Dustpool, Halcyon, Bogmore, and Himwood. All very good maps. surrounded by a red storm. And I talked about this earlier, but this looks like it'll be an insta kill storm. So you touch the zone, you're dead, basically. And then you have 3 control zones: the moon, the sun, and the star zone. We heard a little bit of audio on the official Twitter account. It was pretty nice. The primary way to win is capture and control these zones. To begin capturing a neutral zone, just enter in, and it'll start charging up. You can have more players than just yourself, and it will start charging up faster. Then once you're fully captured, you'll hear the sound cue, and then you'll just have it captured. Now it becomes contested whenever different enemies are in. It's unclear how big these zones are going to be. Like if they're going to be like 20 feet out, if they're going to be 100 feet out. It's judging on the way Spellbreak combat normally plays out. It could be a pretty decent size. So we'll have to see. Now for gaining points, you get passive points every 10 seconds, depending on how many capture zones you have. If you have 1 capture zone, then you have 1 point every 10 seconds. If you have 2, then you get 2 points, etc. Now here's where it gets a little bit hairy, is that for each player a team exiles, they will earn a point multiplied by the number of zones that they control. If a team has 0 or 1 zone, then that 1 exile is going to be worth 1 point. And if they have 2 zones, the exile is worth 2. And this is where like playing the early game really smart is going to be very, very important. This is very, very snowbally. And if there's a point in the game whenever, let's say level 4 hits and your class suddenly gets this massive buff, you can then rotate in, try to take B, and then kind of come back or reverse snowball, etc., outscale, whatever you want to call it. So capturing the early B point, the early middle point, if there is one, is going to be very important in this game, because once you get 2 points, not only do you have that double passive point income, but then you can also get some exiles, and then that's doubled on top of that. So you're going to have to think about that. Also, if you're getting dominated with 3 points and getting exiled over and over, at least you won't have to sit there for an incredibly long amount of time. But if you want to think about this, let's say I believe that each game is going to last for about 15 minutes at most. So let's say that you have about 300 seconds. I don't want to do the math right now. I think that's like 5 minutes. So you can have a 5-minute match, and then if you have all 3 points, that's 120 they need to make up. So that's like 40 exiles. You could end the entire thing in 40 exiles, which if you're thinking about it, is shorter than a clash match. So however long that lasted, it's be shorter than that. Valguard, this is the PvE section of this. There'll be NPCs, teams of 3 that'll spawn in. You can exile them, and then they can drop scrolls at a random chance. So that's something you might want to think about whenever you're going through. There's a little bit of PvE, but it's completely optional from what it sounds like. You won't find any loot on the map. You won't find any chests. The only way to upgrade gear is either through the Valguard or paying a visit to the merchant. And they go on to say how the merchant works. Players can exchange 1 boon gem charged for a new random boon. And this boon gem is this purple icon that we saw in the middle of the screenshot. It is basically charged up by dealing damage to other players and the Valguard. That means getting those exiles and getting that damage is going to be very important. You can't just play PvE the entire way, or you probably could, but you can't just like play the objective the entire time. They want you to go out and get some exiles. There's a heavy emphasis on doing that. And the faster you do it, the more you'll be able to scale up your gear, and then you can snowball from there. You can find gauntlets, runes, and blessings, which are all great. Gauntlets and runes, we all have run into that before. Now, blessings are the stackable buffs that last for the remainder of the match. They're only available as boon rewards, and they are currently 3 different blessings. There's armor blessing, which gives you plus 20 max armor, mana blessing, which gives you plus 20 max mana, and then speed blessing, which gives you plus 3 run speed. And I was talking to people in the competitive element Discord about this speed blessing. It is clarified lower on in the comments that Dan says that you can have a maximum of 3 blessings in each category. So if you want to think about the run speed, plus 3 is already at the rare rarity. If you get 1 speed blessing, it's plus 1 over legendary boots. And then you have a maximum of 3 stacks of that. So you can have just at base plus 12 run speed, which is more than double the boost that you get from legendary boots. And then if you're running dexterity on top of that, dude, you are zooming. The mana blessing and the armor blessing, of course, going to be equally important. I say equally. They're not going to be as important as the run speed. The armor is going to be necessary at some point. But that run speed, dude, you're going to be zooming. The mana blessing might not even come into effect, really. So what's changed from Battle Royale? In Clash, basically, the way that you level is after 2 minutes into the match, you'll be level 2. After 4 minutes, you'll be level 3. And after 8 minutes, you'll be level 4. So about halfway through the match, you'll have all your levels, so to speak, at least for the time limit. Now, it'll be interesting to see some of these early game classes, just how much this is going to snowball. Because I imagine there's going to be some matches where going to level 4 isn't really the goal anyway. So like you might not even have time to rely on that level 4 skill. I'm thinking about classes like maybe Frostborn with the extra 35% damage onto Ice Prism. I'm thinking about maybe Stone Shaper, for example, not getting the extra boulder. And I'm thinking about Toxicologist maybe not getting Spreading Sickness. So this could potentially play a factor into that. Oh, and Conduit as well. You might not get the secondary strikes. So those late game skills are going to really hurt in this game, I feel. The circle, there's no closing circle. We mentioned that it's a fixed zone and it's insta kill. There's no amulet, belt, or boots. There's only blessings, scrolls. Players always will drop a random scroll, and you can pick that up. And then the Valguard have a chance to drop the scroll as well. You will have to read it in the line of fire. So definitely make sure that you are keeping track of that. Then dropping gear on exile, you won't be able to do that. So if you exile someone, you will not actually pick anything up. And I think I forgot to mention a few things as well. Whenever if you want to go buy something from the merchant, you can recall by holding your F key for 8 seconds, or the use key, whatever it happens to be. You'll channel your recall, and then you'll go back to the merchant to then buy something. You don't have to die to you don't really have to die to go visit the merchant. You can just do it via recall. Also, if you do get exiled, it automatically fills up a gem boon. So while you do lose points, or you do lose the advantage of points, you can get some upgraded gear to help you kind of anti-snowball your way back. All right, but very important here. We'll be talking more about this tomorrow, but Dominion will be the featured mode for launch of leagues in Chapter 2. So this is going to be going up on the 23rd. So expect some more news about leagues probably today whenever it uploads. I'm recording this the afternoon of the 22nd, and then it's releasing 23rd. So you get my drift. With Chapter 2, Clash is going to go away. Thankfully, Clash is trash is my common saying among me and my friends. So y'all can adopt it here. Clash is a trash mode, and I'm really glad that it's out. Really glad that Dominion's the one replacing it. So guys, what do you think about the new mode? Do you think it's going to save Spellbreak? Do you think it's the next big thing? Let me know down in the comments. And really hope you enjoyed the breakdown here. Really hope you liked the video and subscribe as well. It's free and it helps me out. So thank you guys in advance for doing that. I've been OSK. Y'all have a great day, and I will catch y'all later.